good with you?
Yeah, we're just on tour, you know. I just watched Dead Poet Society.
Nice.
Crush. Jack, they're on tour with us. And I think this is their third tour with us, so we're pretty tight by now. I just watched Jack, singer, get his ass tattooed while he was playing. And Josh from Bad Flower came out and played guitar while he was getting his ass tattooed. It was fucking incredible. And of course, like, all the Slipknot fans are there, fucking just moshing.
They're just like, being like, I don't know what the hell's happening, but we're here for it.
I loved it. I loved every second of it.
Dude, that's fantastic. What a way to start the day, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
indeed.
Especially here at Louder Than Life, it's like, I mean, it's always nutty here. Like, it's always crazy. But, you know, being here in Louisville, I mean, I got to start off and I got to ask, are you a bourbon drinker?
Yes.
All right, man. Bourbon capital of the world right here.
Absolutely.
So do you have a go-to? Do you have a collection? Like, what's, you know?
Well, when I'm in Kentucky, I just drink the tap water because I'm pretty sure they put it in there.
Yeah.
You know?
It's that Kentucky tap water, man, is good.
But yeah, I mean, you know, at home I have like Woodford.
Okay,
My girl and I, like, you know, if we're gonna go out and we're making a mixed drink, it's just Jack and Coke.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't say like I'm an expert. You know, I find something that I like and I tend to drink that for a little while.
Yeah.
But
I feel like most people are like that, though. It's like, it's like you get one and it's like, all right, I'm gonna enjoy this, and then like eventually somebody's like, hey, try this, and you're like, oh, this is like, that finally like beats it out, and you just keep climbing that ladder.
I think you can get a little bit too deep into it.
Yeah.
But also, like, you know, to each their own. If like IPAs are your thing,
right,
and you love being obsessed with IPAs, then fucking, you know, I can't knock you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Me personally, I'll just drink beer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's fine for me.
Yeah. It's like, you know, like if I'm in the right mood, it's like, something lighter or something darker. I don't care what kind it is. Like, I'm just here for it. But,
you know, man, just like, you know, some old timers I know, they're just like, whatever turns you on, man, it's all that matters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel like once people reach like a certain point in your life, like not even a certain like age, but like a certain tipping point, a lot of people become that where like it's like, okay, like I'm not gonna argue with you about anything. Like, you just kind of do you and enjoy the things you enjoy, and I'm gonna leave you alone, right?
Yeah. Who are you to like impose your opinion on someone else? Like, you know, unless they're doing harm, then you know.
Yeah. You want to avoid that, but
but if you're just like drinking beer or whiskey, and you're just like really into it, who fucking cares?
Right? I tell that to people all the time. I'm like, look, if you don't like it, you don't like it. That's fine.
Yeah.
I
love whiskey. I would totally go to a whiskey tasting. You know what I mean? Because, but I'm not gonna spit that shit out.
No.
There's no way.
No. You can't. Well, I'll tell you what. Like, if you want to, I know all the way at the very back of the festival, there's the big bourbon bar. So they have all sorts of different distilleries, mainly a lot of the ones here in Louisville and Kentucky, but they have some of the other ones, so you can try all sorts of different things. They got a whole selection.
That sounds like a really good time.
I know, it sounds like a dangerous time, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
But maybe we'll let's hit that after the set. Maybe.
I can't do anything before the set anymore.
Yeah.
We used to be like drunk when we would go on, and
I know.
I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. It's like, hey, that's like the evolution of things, though, and I mean that comes with age, comes with wisdom, but also like the evolution of, you know, you guys as a band and you know, with the music and the new album and everything. Like, tell me a little bit about this album and kind of, because I mean it's kind of a crazy story with how, at least lyrically, this story has come about, but also just the evolution of the band up until this point now.
Yeah. First of all, that was a great transition.
Thank you.
And secondly,
I like to think I'm a professional sometimes.
Sometimes when you're not getting wasted on bourbon. But you know, this album, the shit that John went through, you know, he was very transparent about all of that in the writing. You know, actually, like, when are you a fan of Charles Bukowski?
Not familiar now.
If you like the writing on this album, I highly recommend reading some of Charles Bukowski's work.
Okay.
He was a womanizing, alcoholic piece of shit for most of his life.
All right.
But That's what made him so great. And his writing was incredible, and he kind of like sobered up towards the end of his life, and his writing was still incredible.
Okay.
But his stories kind of like are this, where he's like sort of like almost out of control, teetering on the edge at times, and it's, you know, really unfortunate that he was going through that, but it's also really exciting. And John went through a similar thing, and when I remember reading the lyrics and being like, this reads like a Bukowski novel. Like it just, you know, he really did drive his motorcycle out into the desert. He really did take a bunch of mushrooms and sit around a campfire and fucking talk to voices in his head or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Like, he did go crazy, and we thought that this might be it for him. We weren't sure.
Yeah.
You know, he crashed his bike, and then he had to walk it through the desert. I think at one point he was in an Airbnb that was out in the middle of nowhere, and the neighbor of the Airbnb thought that he was squatting. So he was held at gunpoint until he could prove that he was actually renting the place. Like, you know, John is like, he's the kind of writer where his authenticity is paramount.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't have anything to write about, he won't write about anything.
Yeah.
So he'll just kind of throw himself into adventures so that he has something interesting to write about.
Yeah.
And he does that. I mean, you could literally, like, if you can't understand what he's saying in the music, go and read the lyrics.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes with everything going on, it's kind of hard to like understand what someone's actually saying. You know, but it's really interesting what he went through. I mean, and it also does kind of set the scene for the past couple of records and all the struggle the band's gone through.
Yeah.
Because while he was going through the things that he talks about in this record, we were making the past couple of records.
Yeah.
Things with his dad, things with his ex-girlfriends. You know, he's being pulled in a million different directions, and that impacted him.
Yeah.
So with this album, we were sort of we were at a tipping point. We said to each other, you know, we're either going to make this album together as a band in the same room without any preconceived idea of what it's going to be.
Yeah.
We're not going to try to compete with charts. We're not going to try to compete with trending music. We're not going to do any of that. We're going to sit down. We're going to make a record. Whatever it comes out as, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Whether it's like, you know, sounds like Fish, or it sounds like, you know,
Or more progressive, or
or we go harder,
like,
we go, you know, whatever direction it goes in. I don't care. I just want it to be the true identity of the band.
Yeah.
And what it ended up becoming was something that we all loved. We all loved dearly. We wrote it together. You can hear us writing it in the room. You can hear like the guys turning their pedal boards off, or I'm putting my sticks down on the drums.
Yeah.
And I think that sort of authenticity is something that's been lacking in a lot of today's music, because people have the ability to make records cheaply, efficiently, and quickly.
Yeah.
And, you know, let's face it, it's hard for bands to make money out here. I don't blame them for making music the way they did, that they want to.
Yeah.
You know, you could make a rock album in a bedroom.
Yeah.
And it could sound great. But, you know,
but does it have like that emotion that you're talking about, and like that feeling? Like it's like one of those things you can't really describe, like that feeling of like being in the studio together, creating art together.
Yeah.
That, right?
I mean, I think it can be done. It's just harder.
Yeah.
Because you know, it kind of all falls down on the singer, and then you have to sort of like create those environments. Versus like when recording started becoming a thing, it was a way to record a performance.
Yeah.
And you recorded people in a room reacting to each other.
Yeah.
There was no metronomes, there was nothing like that.
Yeah.
So now recording is completely flipped on its head.
Yep.
It's not recording the performance, it's you're performing and recording at the same time.
Yeah.
And you know, if you have a drum track or a guitar track that is final, and then you do everything else on top of that, everyone's reacting to what is final, but the final things are not reacting to them. So you're only getting half of it.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times, you know, if a band is really just like owned by a singer, right? Like say like Falling in Reverse or something like that. it's easier for them to just take programmed drums that sound great.
Yeah.
The producer made them, or the guitar player, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they just hire a drummer to play those parts.
Yeah.
So you're kind of getting a new thing it's a new technology. So I can't hate on progress, because that's how we got here. But you aren't getting what we traditionally grew up listening to.
Yeah.
Like the stuff from the 90s, like, you have like or you listen to Sublime and like you can hear the vocal mic's still on and they're talking to each other in the studio. You kind of feel like you're there.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying what's happening now is bad and what we do is good. It's just what we do is more traditional now. And that's what we wanted to get into, because the records that we made that were more modern, we hated. They didn't feel like us, the drum parts were written for me, or like Natural Born Killer, great song, but the band had nothing to do with it. The track was made by the producer. John liked it, he sang on it, and then we heard the song. At the same time, the record label heard the song. They loved the song. They mixed it, and they put it out as a single, and the band was like, all right. We have nothing to do with this. So then we have to now, it feels like I'm a hired gun in my own band, or it feels like I'm playing a cover song.
Has it been that way, like when you go back even further, like, when songs like, My Name is Human and Lydia, like all the way back to the beginning, or was that like, okay, we did this, kind of transitioned into the more modern thing, and then we didn't like that, and now we're back to...
That's exactly what happened, yeah. We always made music together. Like, Mr. Asylum is still arguably our best record to date, because it took us from opening the festival to playing on the main stage and playing at the Grammys. So it got us so far, and then the other records did do well for us, but they didn't do as good as Mr. Asylum. Mr. Asylum was made in a practice room, like over years. It was made in living rooms. It was made in like late night jam sessions. It was made by a bunch of people in a band playing music together before we had an industry around us, before we had a network of people working our record, who all had insight into what we were doing. But when we didn't have that, we just made it together as a group. We made our best work. So we wanted to go back to that, not necessarily in the hopes that we'd get another Mr. Asylum, but that we would just love it the way we love Mr. Asylum. And that the fans would react to it because they're getting the actual band. They're not getting trap hats and modern music that doesn't fit the thing that they fell in love with at the beginning.
It's like, it is that like emotional connection, and not just like band versus crowd, but while you're on stage, like the connection that you have to the music and everything, which one of my favorite questions to ask anybody in a band, like when you think about like putting your set list together, not just specifically today, because like festivals are a different beast, they're shorter, like it's a more broad audience, but you think about a headlining tour that you guys have, you're putting together your set list. What's a song that you wish you could put on the set list, but it just always misses the cut? Either you don't have enough time, or maybe it's too like complex to put together to actually do on stage. Or I've even had people say like, oh yeah, like it's too slow, like we don't want to kill the vibe or anything. What's something you wish you could put on the set list?
Well, actually, the constant arguments that we have over set lists daily. Every set list we have is usually a creation of some sort of strife. I want to play the songs that the people like the most, because I was a part of all the songs that we wrote, and I love or hate all of them, but that doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters, the thing that keeps us being a touring act that like gets to do this for a living, or being in a garage, is the fact that we have fans that love our music. And I just want to play the songs that they like. I want to play Little One. I want to play Mr. Asylum. I want to play Human, 16. I want to play the ones that Chicago. I mean, like there's songs that fans constantly ask for. And not everybody in the band sees it that way. So it's a constant argument. And we're making progress, But hopefully one day we can get into a place where we're only playing what the fans really want, and there's not like personal things involved. Like, oh, I like this song, so I want to play this song. It's like, well, whether you like it or not, to me, doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Because it's the people that matter.
Yeah.
They're the ones paying for a ticket.
Yeah. It's like, hey, like, you know, it's one of those things like, don't bite the hand that feeds, you know. And it's like,
yeah, you go to McDonald's because you want a McDonald's burger. If McDonald's was like all of a sudden like, I feel like making this fucking, I'm gonna make pina colada.
It's like,
no, I came here for a fucking burger. I wanted a Big Mac, and now I can't get one. I'm not gonna go to McDonald's anymore.
Yeah.
So that's, to answer your question.
Yeah, like it's always interesting, like hearing the different responses to that, because you usually 9 times out of 10, like you get a response like that, or it's like you're like, yeah, like I know that this song, like we would never put it in the set, but I really have like a strong attachment to it. It'd be really cool to do if we had, you know, we're just like fucking around and doing whatever or something like that. So it's always cool. But loving, you know, the new album and everything, loving that you know, you guys have kind of made that transition like we talked about and everything. So looking forward to everything today here at Louder Than Life, and I appreciate you taking some time to chat. I mean, like we went down a rabbit hole, but we had some fun with that. So
that's typically what happens.
Hey, I'm all for that. I'm over here. It's like, here, do you want to just say, like, I'm gonna go to the bar and like you can just keep talking.
Totally.
Hey, I'm all about it, man. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to the set. It's gonna be great to see you again here at Louder Than Life.
Fuck yeah. Hell yeah, man.